It all started with Joseph Peters, who lives where the City Hall is today. And Joseph Peters was one of the founders of all of the businesses in the city of St. Louis. He also was the founder of a furniture company called Peters Furniture Company, and he owned this plat of land. And his sons were carpenters, and they built this house and then two others down St. Francis Street. At one point, the house was built for two families. So on the back of the house, it had a spiral staircase, that and a back door, and that has been removed. Upstairs, and what we have now is a bedroom, used to be a kitchen area, and then they had other living quarters up there. During the house tour, when we're talking to visitors, often they'll ask, does all this furniture belong to you? They think that we rent the furniture from someone or that someone has given it to us. And of course the answer is no, all of these belongings are ours. With the exception, just recently we acquired a bedroom set through Historic Florissant. The Abishan family donated this bedroom set to them, and they didn't have a place to store it, and they wanted it on display. So they asked us if we would do so, so we did. And so we have it proudly displayed in our bedroom. And so during the house tours, we always open that up so people can see that. Another thing that people are drawn to is our stove. It is a reproduction of a wood-burning stove, and it has been made to work with electricity, so it has electric ranges and electric oven. Each time we're on the house tour, we have visitors that come through, and quite a few of them have stories about the house. So every time we're on the house tour, we learn something new. That's how we learned about the bank president having an office in the building. That's how we learned about the different families that have rented. And one of my favorite stories that I learned, our neighbor, Rita Mollering, lived in this house as a child and grew up in this house, and later went on to become one of the first female professional ball players that was depicted in the story A League of Their Own. Because she was our neighbor, we became friends, and she shared information about the filming of the movie, about how she got to visit and meet Gina Davis, and she showed us her uniform and her ball glove and just different memorabilia that she had related to that. It was very interesting. Well, my husband and I both share a love of old things. We don't necessarily buy period things for the house, period furniture. We just buy what we like. And so together we have visited multiple antique shows and stores and flea markets and just gathered things together, and it's helped us create our home, and that's what I like most about it. It's just us. You may notice in the house that there's a lot of wardrobes, and that's because out of the 8 rooms in the house, we only have 2 closets. One of the unique features of the house you can find in the kitchen, the cabinets are built in, however, the glass has been replaced. Joseph Peters was known to be friends with the Shaw family, and it's rumored that the large trees that are at City Hall today, some are gone because they had to be taken down because they were so big and so old, that those trees and some of the trees in this area were actually brought here by Mr. Shaw. On the side of our house, you'll see an old princess tree, and there's not many princess trees in this area. The fire mantle's been replaced. At one point, I saw a picture in an old newspaper of the original mantle, and I happened to find one at an antique store, and it fit. One of the pieces we're really happy to have is a desk at the top of the stairs that was made by the Peters Furniture Company. I think that's special because Mr. Peters, or Joseph Peters, was the founder of Peters Furniture Company. The benefits of owning this home is its location. We love living in Florissant. We love living on St. Francis or St. Francois because of all the activities that are here. We just love living here. We just love the character of the house, and I don't think you could buy a new house that would be this strong and this sturdy and that had this much character. My husband and I feel it's very important to pass it on to someone else that will care about it as much as we do, and so this house will be here forever.
This house was built by George Klima in 1887, and shortly thereafter, Dr. John J. Millman purchased the home with his wife, Frances Goldbeck. Dr. Millman, he was one of the last doctors to do home visits in the area, and he died in 1937. And they lived here, and it was in their family until we purchased it in 1999.
It was built during an era called the Victorian era. A lot of people make the mistake that Victorian is a style. Actually, Victorian has many different styles within it. Victorian era is an era of construction that around a little bit before 1840 till about 1910. And this building was built in about 1897 maybe, and that puts it right in it.
The house was originally this room, the living room, and the bedroom. It was somewhat of an L shape, and they were a story and a half. Dr. Millman added on this area, the kitchen, and his office to allow him to also provide services for the community here in his home. And so he had an office there it has a separate entrance in the front, and so that was the addition. And I'm not sure the exact date, but I think somewhere in the 40s they added the indoor plumbing.
Its style is with the clean lines of the house. It has a porch with a balustrade, although you don't find the Queen Anne details, so I would almost call it a classical or federal style detailing because everything's straight line. The clapboard siding has smooth surfaces. There are no ornate brackets that have been affixed to the building, and that's kind of how the Victorian era was.
When we were tearing down the Surrey house, we were regrading some of the ground around where it had been. We found some plastic bags with items in it, like bottles and some medicine bottles and perfume bottles. We found a bottle of fish oil. It was pretty intricate detail on the bottle. We found some chamber pots, things like that were just in the home. They were outside. An interesting thing, we were digging to put a sidewalk in from our garage to the back door, and we found some bricks set in a row in a circle. And so we began to do a little bit of digging to try and figure out what that was, because it certainly looked like either a well or some type of enclosed opening or encased opening. So we dug out. It was filled with gravel. So we dug out as far as we could. I have a picture of my wife sitting in that hole with her feet as far, I mean, she was from here up, that's all you could see. And we never really figured out where it went, kind of ran out of time, so we filled it back in, and it's still out there waiting for someone to discover where it goes. The home itself is so unique. You look around the neighborhood, there's not another one like it anywhere that I've seen. That to me is a characteristic that I really appreciate, and I like having a home that no one else has a copy of.
It's clean and simple, but it does have the elements that would lend you to believe that the carpenter spent a lot of time on this building.
This neighborhood, the Old Town neighborhood, is so quiet, it's peaceful, and you just can't beat the atmosphere here. People walking their dogs and walking around the neighborhood, and it's just a pleasant and peaceful place to be. The property is rather large, as subdivision lots go, and that's another perk for having an old style property. But the character and the look of the home is really, I love it.
Historic preservation is not only about keeping the buildings looking exactly as they did, but trying to keep the buildings in the same style that they were intended when they were originally built. We know that progress happens and that there are changes, and I think historic preservation can deal within that realm and allow progress to continue, but keeping the facade and keeping the character of Old Florissant at the same time.
It's your responsibility as a homeowner or an owner of a historic place to maintain the integrity of the building. I think that we need to be good stewards, and we need to preserve what we have.
Certainly, if you have a home that you believe would be landmark status and you want that home to be landmark status, we'll be more than happy to help you through the process. And then again, we could also look at a location and say, this really should be a landmark home, and start the process ourselves and work with the current homeowners. The Meyer home is a home that is one that right now we are working to try and keep from being demolished. And we wrote to the state. The building commissioner, Phil Lum, was very instrumental in this.
This building will be on the list of places in peril. That's because of the importance of the building and its beginnings of deterioration. The weathering on the building with its type of exposure facing south is great, and it needs help, so the city felt that it is enough of a landmark building to nominate for that listing.
Let the state know, hey, this is what's going on with this home. This is the background of the home. We have it listed as landmark home. It's important to our heritage, to our background, and asking them to help us. And that's another thing that our committee tries to do, is recognize the homes that are eligible for landmark National Registry status and get them approved.
The Landmarks Commission has helped by registering our house with the National Register of Historic Places. They actually provided the bronze plaque on the front of the house. And then as new homeowners and people who may not have known exactly what to do, we received guidance from them in the beginning as to what needed to be done, what kinds of colors to use on the outside of the house, and that type of thing.
And actually, when they come to our committee, we issue something called a certificate of appropriateness if somebody wants to make changes to the outside of their home. We don't say yes you can or no you can't, but we say, okay, this is appropriate for the age and the style of the home. I have been amazed at the homework that the homeowners do. They come with their color swatches, with pieces of siding, with examples of other homes that have used this type of material. They want to do it the right way. They are proud of their homes, they are proud of where they live, and they want their home to look historically accurate.
When I tore the Surrey house down, what I did was I collected my drawings, my plan, what I intended to do. I had to tear the Surrey house down, and then we're going to rebuild the barn that you see out there. They are responsible for helping individuals maintain, the integrity of the historic home.
Yeah, they're proud to live in these homes. They enjoy the history of their home, and they want it to shine. They want the house to shine in its original glory.
My husband and I feel it's very important to maintain the integrity of the house, and in the future we would like to pass it on to someone else that will care about it as much as we do, and so this house will be here forever.